I'm going to use this under the Fair Use Act, and I want to do a quick follow-up as it relates to testing the spirits and knowing who's teaching sound doctrine and who's teaching the opposition to sound doctrine. Now listen to what. Remember, I've taught about the fire and division that's spoken of in Luke chapter 12. Let's listen closely to what Hank Kunderman is teaching in this message.
Campers, and there shall be a great gathering of crowds throughout your city, United States, and it shall form a unity that shall break the division that the enemy thought that he could make you the divided states.
So he's teaching against, understand that the enemy is the one bringing the division, the fire and division. We know from Luke chapter 12, beginning at verse 49, who's actually doing this. This is that separation of the chaff and the wheat. Remember, the fire, they throw the chaff goes into the fire, but see that Hank Kunderman is teaching an opposite message to what Scripture actually teaches. He's teaching the opposite of what I'm teaching. What I teach lines up with the sound biblical doctrine, and he's teaching that, this is breaking the division when it clearly states that Jesus sends the fire and division because he's got to separate the chaff from the wheat and the stirred up waters from the still waters. Let's listen to this next part. Let's listen to this again.
Standing up shall release a change of leadership, and those who rule, that you will never face this fire of affliction.
You'll never face, but here's the problem with that. My prophecy has already come to pass. It has already come to pass. But he's teaching opposite of that, which is opposite of what Scripture teaches. That is another way that you test the spirits. The fact that my prophecy had come to pass and that it does, in fact, line up with sound biblical doctrine, whereas Hank Kunderman's actually is an opposing message. It is a counter message from what the Scripture teaches, and that is taught in Luke, what Jesus himself taught and said in Luke chapter 12, beginning at verse 49. But that entire chapter is important. So see that Hank Kunderman is teaching an actually opposing message to what the Scripture says and to what my prophecy is. The reason he is doing this because I have exposed him and exposed these truckers as part of the problem. That's why I tell you, be like the wheat that does not go into the fire. These are the ones that are the chaff. And I've shown in that previous video. Let me go back to that. Let me find that again so you can hear it. And of course, I did a couple of videos on this. I did multiple videos on this. And these are the ones that are going into the fire and the division.
Gone, done with open Canada, right back up to normal, the way it was prior to.
Lift all the mandates and resign.
Step down, you're tired, time to leave.
It's not a matter of who's going to win. We've already won because we've literally sparked that fire.
They're in the fire.
I'm tired of the mandates. I'm tired of all the division that it's causing.
And they are experiencing the fire and the division. The wheat does not experience the fire. It is the chaff that goes into the fire. It is the stirred up waters versus the still waters. You have to know sound biblical doctrine and know that these ones are the chaff. They're the ones that are experiencing all the fire. They're the ones that are feeding into it. Realize that, very important. They're feeding into what the ones are doing. And like I've taught in my Ouroboros series, do not feed into it. Do not be drawn into it.
6 years later, as he fans the flames of an...
Fanning the flames. Trudeau is fanning the flames. He is drawing these ones into the fire. And they're feeding right into it. So easily feeding into it because they are lukewarm Christians at best. And this is why Scripture teaches you not to be a lukewarm Christian. God bless.